close to as I could to prevent anything from happening to him. We went on down Main Street, turned right on Houston, then made a sharp left on Elm, right in front of the Texas School Depository. We had traveled down that street maybe 120 feet. We had been going rather slow because of the sharp turn. I was scanning to the left where there's a grassy area, some people, but not many. I was also scanning straight ahead because there was a triple underpass, and there were some people on top, and also some police officials. And all of a sudden, I heard this explosive noise over my right shoulder. I didn't recognize it immediately as a rifle shot because the area there, because of between the buildings and the triple underpass, kind of made little echoes in the sounds. And so, what I did, started to turn toward the noise. And when I did that, my eyes went over the back of the car. And I saw what happened in the back seat. The president was seated in the right rear, and he made a very unusual movement, throwing his hands up around his neck and veering sharply to his left. Now he's seated up against the right side of the car, so he couldn't go to his right. Couldn't move forward because he had a back brace on, so he had to go to his left. Went to his left toward Mrs. Kennedy. His head was kind of down. As soon as I noticed this unusual movement, I jumped off the car running board that I was stationed on, which was immediately behind the president's car. And I started to run to the president's car. My objective was to get up on top of the rear, to form a shield or a barrier between the people who were trying to harm President Kennedy and the President and Mrs. Kennedy. As I approached the car, just about had got there, there was a third shot. That shot hit the president in the head. Now his head had turned down so that it hit in the rear of the head, but it exited out the right rear quadrant, and he took part of his skull with it. It was so explosive in nature that there was blood, there was brain matter, and bone fragments coming out of that wound, all over the car, over me, over Mrs. Kennedy. Then I got up on the car. Just as I started to get up on the car, Mrs. Kennedy came up with the trunk. She was trying to grab some of that material that had come out and was lying on the trunk. She didn't even know I was there. I got a hold of her, I pushed her into the back seat. When I did that, the president's body fell all the way to his left, with his head in her lap. The right side of his head was up. I could see his eyes, they were fixed, motionless. I could see through the hole in the upper right rear of the skull. All the brain matter was gone, destroyed. So I assumed immediately it was a fatal wound. I turned, I gave a thumbs down, all the car through, all the other agents that were working with me. And I then screamed at the driver to get us to the hospital. And he did. He accelerated. The chief of police from Dallas got in front of us in a lead car and led us to Parkland Hospital. We got there. We had some problems getting everybody out of the car because I didn't know at first the governor had been shot. When we realized it, we had to move him before we could help the president. When we sent the governor up into the emergency room, then we were trying to help the president. Mrs. Kennedy had a hold of it, and she wouldn't let go. I pleaded with her, I said, please, Mrs. Kennedy, let us help the president. Nothing happened, no response. So I pleaded with her some more. Still no response. I finally recognized that I had been with her now over 3 years. I knew her pretty well. I realized that she didn't want anybody to see the condition he was in because it was horrible. So I took off my suit coat, I covered up his head and his upper back. And when I did that, she let go. We lifted him up, put him on a gurney, and I rushed him into the emergency room. And the doctors arrived from all over the hospital. At one time, there were 15 or 17 doctors there in and out. They were doing their best to resuscitate him, and it just didn't work.